From Square Two, this is What's Wrong with Revenue. I'm Mike Lieberman, CEO at Square Two, and along with my longtime friend and business partner, Eric Kalis, this show answers the question many CEOs, CMOs, CROs, and business owners are asking, what's wrong with revenue? New shows drop every Thursday morning. You can find the video version of the show on YouTube at the Square Two Marketing channel, on our website at the What's Wrong with Revenue page located in the footer, or on our free streaming service Square Two Plus, both located at square2marketing.com. You can subscribe to the show or subscribe to Square Two Plus, and we'll email you new show content as soon as it's published. You can also submit questions to the show on the What's Wrong with Revenue page of our website. Eric and I answer questions every single episode. You can also find the podcast version of the show on all your favorite podcast platforms. Enjoy the show. Hey everybody, it's Mike Lieberman. Welcome to Season 2, Episode 25 of What's Wrong with Revenue. I'm joined by my guest who was here with me last week also, Kate Wilcox. Kate, say hi.
Hey guys.
Today we have a really interesting topic. And like I said last week, this is going to be the last show for a couple of weeks as we go on a bit of a summer hiatus and reflect a bit back on our second season and come back strong in the fall to finish out Season 2. So I got a really good topic here. It's one that we've been talking internally a lot. When it comes to what's wrong with revenue, there's a lot you can learn from Tom Brady, 6-time Super Bowl champion. And we're going to talk about Tom Brady, but really you could throw LeBron James in there. You could throw Tiger Woods in there. All these guys have something in common. And when we reflect back on the clients we work with and the prospects we talk with, there's a lot interesting context to these high level athletes and what you're trying to do with your marketing. So, all these guys, Tom Brady, LeBron James, Tiger Woods, they're all considered the greatest of all times in their sport. You can argue if you want to about LeBron versus Michael Jordan or Tiger versus whoever, but these guys are obviously at the top of their game. They didn't get there by accident, and it wasn't raw talent that got them there either. It was hard work. They have a never-ending commitment to invest both time and money in their own professional development, their training, their conditioning, their diet, the equipment they use, their own rhythms and the way they practice and the way they get ready for games, the habits they formed. They knew that to be the best, they needed to work with the best trainers, the best conditioning experts, the best sports psychiatrists, therapists, the best coaches. They needed to eat the best. They needed to create the best habits. Not only that, they needed to invest their time and energy, not only during the season, but all year long if they wanted to be the GOAT. And there's a lot that business owners, CEOs, marketing leaders can take away from this. When you think about what you're trying to accomplish for your business, you're trying to grow revenue, you're trying to hit goals, you're trying to grow your companies. There are no shortcuts. There are no easy buttons. You need to work with the best, invest at the highest level, and be committed from a time and a money perspective to never being satisfied with where you are if you want to grow your business. And we're going to talk today about this mindset and how it translates into whether you hit your goals or not. If you want to do marketing part-time, I can guarantee you're going to get part-time results. Just like if Tom Brady didn't want to work all year long at being the best, he never would have won 6 Super Bowls. So the question really comes down to what's wrong with revenue. It might just be that you don't want to win the Super Bowl. And that's fine. You don't have to want to win the Super Bowl. But if you do want your company to see hockey stick growth, you got to start thinking like Tom Brady, LeBron James, and Tiger Woods. So what we're going to cover on the show today is what it means to go all in from a time and an investment perspective, how to make your company's top priority, make this your company's top priority and get everyone focused on this one goal, why your partners and agencies need to be all in also with you. You need to find people that want to go all in, and they need to push you to go all in because that's what it's going to take to be successful. How analytics help athletes track progress, the same way analytics help you track your progress. And then really the biggest question is, why is it so hard to ask you this question? Do you want to win the Super Bowl? And it's the first step is saying, yep, I want to win the Super Bowl. Why is that such a hard question for people to answer? Before we get into it, I'll remind everybody, if you like the show, go to YouTube. Square Two Marketing has a channel there. All of season 1 and season 2, What's Wrong with Revenue shows are posted there. You can like us. You can subscribe to it. You can ask us, provide comments. We'll respond to all the comments on YouTube. You can check out the show on Square Two Plus. It's Square Two's free streaming service. It's at the website, square2marketing.com/Square2PLUS. We post audio and video content there every single week. You can subscribe to the service, and we'll let you know when new stuff is added. And if you love the show, you can check it out. It has its own page. Click podcast at the top of our website, and there's a What's Wrong with Revenue page. You can subscribe to the show directly. You can also ask us questions, and we will handle them on the show. And I neglected this during last week's episode, so I'll remind everybody, the show is also available in audio format, podcast format, on all your favorite podcast platforms. So if you like podcasts, you like audio format, go check it out on Apple, Stitcher, iTunes, blah, blah, blah. Everywhere your favorite podcasts are found, you can find What's Wrong with Revenue. So Cade, you and I have had this conversation recently because we're really starting to use it as more of a qualification criteria for Square Two. Do you really want to blow it out? Do you really want to be the best in your business? Do you really want to win the Super Bowl? So Cade, why is it so hard for people to answer this question? Let's start there. It seems like that's a great place to start.
Yeah, first I want to go on the record to state that I don't think LeBron James is anywhere close to the same galaxy as Michael Jordan. So just want to make it clear, and for the record, MJ
now you're
over
starting
LeBron
all kinds of
every day.
controversy with our audience, because
yeah.
Honestly, when I ask my kids, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, they're like, well, I never really saw Michael Jordan play, so I can't even answer that. But I've seen Michael Jordan play, and while I do think it's close, I just think Michael is the GOAT.
I'm with you. You can't argue with six NBA championships.
You can't argue with this guy's intensity. Did you watch the documentary about him?
Oh, yeah.
Right. That guy just wanted to do one thing. He wanted to win. Every single game, every single possession, every single point, he wanted to win. He had an insatiable desire to win.
Unbelievable. And so many applications, as we're going to talk about today, in running a business and succeeding at business. Going back to your question, why is it so difficult? I think the single reason it's so difficult is people really do understand the amount of intensity and the amount of commitment and the amount of time it takes to be successful, and they're afraid of that. I think people intuitively know when they ask the question, do I really, really want to win? They almost avoid asking the question and exploring it too deeply, because intuitively they know that it's going to require a lot of them. And I think a lot of people shy away from that because of the level of intensity and the requirement that it takes in order to truly be successful. I mean, you think about Tiger Woods' upbringing and the level of intensity that he experienced with his dad, and the training and the going to the golf range and playing in the junior tournaments. If you think about the intensity that Tom Brady brought to the offseason, he was way more intense in the offseason. He spent way more time in the offseason preparing to win than he did even during the season. And I think people are afraid of that ultimately when it comes to their business. And I think that's why they just kind of peter along, not just in their business, but specifically related to their sales and marketing. They have this expectation of success, but a lack of willingness to really invest the amount of time and money necessary to win the Super Bowl, as it were.
So they know they don't really want to put the time and effort in. They don't want to say it because that's kind of embarrassing and a little weak to be you know what? I don't want to win the Super Bowl. I'm really happy with mediocrity. Who's going to say that? So they, I guess, fake it, even though they don't really want to put the effort.
I think so. I think the other thing people do is they'll make themselves feel good by saying that their vision is to win the Super Bowl, but the reality of the way they spend their time, the way they bring their intensity, the way they spend their money on sales and marketing is not aligned with the vision. And so just saying it out loud, oh, I want more leads, I want to grow more revenue, I want a better message, I want a better website, it kind of placates that desire for progress. But then when push comes to shove, when the rubber meets the road, they're not gonna put in the effort because of the sacrifice they know that it will require of them.
Right. So I guess what you're saying is our challenge now becomes being smart enough to get them to answer that question honestly.
Yeah, I think
You know
so.
what? I don't really want to win the Super Bowl. I'm good like losing every year in the first round of the playoffs. So give me that plan.
Yeah,
Right.
I think that's right. But here's the thing, and you've done this for 20 years. I've done it for, over 12 years. You can tell the difference between someone, we talk to them every day, right? In our sales process and some of our clients, you can tell the difference between someone who just says something and someone who really brings the level of intensity. Think about the lead that we're about to start working with. They're a bunch of young guys. They were really engaged in the sales process. Now that they're getting started, they're asking all kinds of engaging questions. Like, they're bringing a level of intensity to their engagement and a level of commitment that makes it really clear they want to win. We talk to other really large businesses that have the time, that have the resources, but they're satisfied, even though they say they're not, and they don't bring that level of intensity. So I do think you can tell when you're talking to folks, to what degree they really are in it to win it.
Yeah. Okay, good. So that makes a lot of sense. Let's deal with the first point that I talked about when we kicked the show off about what it means to go all in. So, let's say we find this company like the guys you're talking about, and they do want to win the Super Bowl and they want to go all in. Like, what does that mean from a time and investment perspective when sales and marketing is the backdrop here?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things. I think it starts with having an extremely, extremely clear vision. Do they even know what they want? You know what I mean? And how clear is that? And I think the clarity of that vision is so important because of the sacrifice of time and resources required to win. The vision and the sacrifice have to be aligned, right? So I think that's a really critical component. I used to have this coach, and they would say this phrase all the time to me when I'd be talking about business or whatever. And they would say, do you really want what that means? And so when I think someone's thinking about their sales and their marketing, when they're clarifying their vision, when they're talking about their goals and objectives, I think they have to really, really think honestly if they actually want what they say they want. And as you wrestle with that and you get clarity on your real commitment to that issue, you start to identify and get comfortable with the sacrifice of time and budget and involvement and engagement and contribution necessary to really contribute. I think that's
You're breaking up a little bit, but yeah, I think it has to start with that, and that's clarity, right? Like, the guys we're talking about in sports, they have a very singular focus, right? Like, win the Super Bowl, win 6 Super Bowls, win 5 majors, like be the best golfer in history. Like, their vision is really, really crystal clear, and they're going to do anything they can to achieve that. A lot of the clients we work with in the beginning, we help them with that, right? What is it that you're trying to do in your space, and we give them good guidance around how they can get there. What story do they have to tell to separate themselves from the competition? How do they attract more people to their business and get those visitors engaged? How do you keep that story going? Like the vision feeds the story almost every single time. So I think we kind of help them with that. I think the other thing that is important from an all-in perspective is knowing exactly quantitatively what all in means from a program performance perspective, and then a related investment perspective. Because I hear all the time, I have my website gets 1,000 people a month, and we're getting a couple of leads a month from the website. But we really need 100 leads a month, right? Okay, no problem. Like, going from a couple leads a month to 100 leads a month is like literally like, building and launching and turning around the Titanic. So they have to understand that that is going to, if that's really what they want, that's going to come with a significant investment, right? And again, if that's really important to them, they should be like, yep, how much is it? Yep, let's do it. Let's get started immediately because I know it's going to take time, right? That's the difference between all in. Also, if they start, oh, well, that's a lot of money and we've never spent that much money before and we don't know if we can do that. And, I'll have to talk to a few people. We got to move some money around. Like, if those are the kinds of responses you're getting to that, I'm going to just tell you flat out, you're not all in.
Yeah.
Because, again, if Tom Brady was like, oh, I have to eat this crazy green drink every morning, like, ew, I don't want that. Can I have just a bagel with cream cheese? Like, he's never going to be in the shape he's being to play football into his 40s. So, like, yeah, I'm sure he'd prefer the bacon, egg, and cheese on a bagel, but in order to be the GOAT and win 6 Super Bowls, he has to drink the green drink. So, like, it's the same exact thing. Like, you got to be willing to make sacrifices and you got to be willing to do the things that are uncomfortable to get to this place you've never been before. I guarantee you it's going to be uncomfortable doing something you've never done before. I use this analogy so many times. You want to be great at the guitar, you've never played the guitar before, it's going to be uncomfortable when you pick that up and you start learning how to play it. You're going to make a lot of mistakes. You're going to sound like crap for months. You have to stick it out and play every day and get a coach and watch videos and learn all the things. And then maybe after a year, you can play a couple of songs. If you want to be great at it, you got to keep going. You got to just keep working. You got to get better coaches. You got to get better equipment. You're like, it's all about whether you really want it or not. If you really want it, you can have it. If you really want 100 leads a month, I guarantee you can have it. If you invested the right amount of money and hired the right people and executed the right programs, you can have 100 leads a month. It's that simple. But it falls off the cliff because people start realizing this is going to be too hard. This is going to cost too much money. This is going to need too much of my time. Whatever. It's super easy to talk yourself out of it. So, when it comes to going all in, it means understanding what that means quantitatively, and then understanding what that means from a time and a money perspective. Who's going to have to invest time in this program? How much money is it going to cost me to get me to where I want to be? And if you're all in, it should be a no-brainer. Let's go. Let's get started.
Yeah. Yeah, man, you have so many really good points. I mean, I think one of the ones that is so worth kind of repeating and focusing on is that idea of focus that you said. It requires a singular focus to accomplish things you've never accomplished before over a long period of time. Like Tom Brady focused on his craft over 20 years. It took him over 20 years to win 6 Super Bowls. He didn't get focused for a week, get all excited about it, get all the warm and fuzzies, put a week's worth of effort into it, and out popped a 6-time Super Bowl champion. It was singular focus over a long period of time. And I think that's another indicator of someone who really wants to win the Super Bowl or become a great guitar player, like you just mentioned. You don't become a good guitar player in 30 days. It takes years. It takes years. And I think that's another indication if someone's all in and really wants to win.
Yeah, I agree. So you bring a good point. It's a really nice segue to how to make this your company's top priority and get everyone focused on this one goal. We're an EOS company. We're having some internal conversations around priorities for next quarter. We have our planning meeting on Friday. We're going to have to pick a couple of top priorities. We're not going to be able to do everything we want to do. So, the same thing here. If you want to win the revenue Super Bowl, this has to be your company's top priority. And I ask prospects this sometimes, like, how big a priority is this on a scale of 1 to 10? 10 being, we absolutely have to do this right now. 1 being, I don't know. If we get around to it by the end of the year, maybe it'll be fine, right? Like, what is it? Like, how big a priority is this for your company? If it's not the top priority or one of your top priorities, if everybody isn't aware that it's your top priority, if you're not investing in it like it's your top priority, it's not going to perform like it's your top priority. You'll limp through it, and maybe you'll get some results some months, but why would you expect something different? Like, you're not committing to it. It's not the most important thing your company is doing. Why would you expect it to blow up when you're not treating it like it's the most important thing you're doing? But people make that mistake all the time, literally every single day.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's some really practical things folks can do to, ensure this really is a priority. First of all, I think all the major leaders, the major stakeholders, have to have a shared vision. Like if one person has one vision, another leader has another vision, another leader has another vision, you're immediately never going to be able to kind of make any kind of commitment or traction or focus here. And so I think the idea of shared vision, shared goals, shared expectations is really, really important. It kind of sounds like a no-brainer, but when you have 3 or 4 leaders, like let's say, for example, in your team, 3 or 4 different strong personalities, 3 or 4 different levels of aspiration, 3 or 4 different levels of vision on how we should go from where we're at to where we're trying to go. So I don't think you can overstate or overemphasize the importance of a shared vision. And then I think 2 other practical things is calendar it and measure it. So you give time to what's important. For those who fitness is really, really important to them, they schedule it. Like they go on a run every single morning, or they have their hour blocked off for the gym or the whatever. And so you calendar things that are important to you. And then I think another practical thing is you measure it. And I know we're going to talk about analytics more here in a little bit, but measuring all these things is another way of identifying what's truly important to you. We all know how important our bank accounts are because we look at them regularly, right? To see what money we have or don't have. And I think the same is true of this. So shared vision, calendaring it so you can really prioritizing it, and then you measure what's important to you.
Yeah. I think this is especially important when you're talking about revenue because it's not just a marketing function. It's not just a sales function. It's not just a customer service function. And I think a lot of companies still have not gotten on the program to look at this as a unified revenue effort. So we work with a lot of them. They're like marketing, like we're only working with marketing. They're like, get me more leads. Can we talk to sales? No, that sales is fine. Don't worry about what they're doing. Like they'll pick up the lead and do what they do. Like, no, that's the wrong way to get to the Super Bowl. It would be like, if these guys are not talking to other aspects of their training portfolio, if the nutritionist doesn't know what Tiger's training program is, he can't properly feed Tiger's body, right? It's the same thing. If marketing is generating a ton of leads and sales is fumbling it, like you're not going to grow. If marketing is generating a ton of leads and sales is doing a pretty good job closing them, but the clients are leaving because the service department stinks, you're not going to grow. All of these 3 individually performing teams need to be brought together as a single revenue team with their top priority to be hitting the revenue goals. And they're doing whatever they need to do to hit those revenue goals, time, energy, money, and they're working together at it, coordinating their efforts. That's the only way you're going to get there. So again, you can't be half pregnant when it comes to getting these 3 important parts of the company organized and aligned around your top priority.
Couldn't agree more.
All right. So, we have an interesting perspective on this because we see all different kinds of companies. And, this might sound a little self-serving, but it's really not. As partners for these companies, the agencies you're working with need you to be all in, because I got news for you. We are all in on you. Like we have things that we can recommend to you. We want you to be successful. Like I think a lot of companies for some reason don't understand the business model for agencies. Like when you do better, we do better. Like there's in no world are we trying to sell you things that are not going to help you produce more leads or grow revenue, because we know that the better you perform, the more likely you are to continue to work with us. So there's a very close alignment in shared goals that I don't think a lot of companies really understand when they hire agencies. We're not just here to deliver service to you and bill you. That is counter to what we're trying to do when we work with companies. We are trying to produce the results you need to grow your businesses. And in most cases, we don't get an all-in from our clients. We get some of their attention some of the time. And I get it. They have other things they're doing, but that's, again, just a reflection that they're not all in on this. If they were all in, they'd be like, what do you need from me? When do you need it from me? I'll get it to you immediately. Like, that literally never happens. So, I'm telling you right now that if you're working with an agency, you're probably not all in, and it's causing your program to suffer. So whether you're working with us or someone else, take a real hard introspective look at how you're working with your partners, and get on the program and give them what they need to help you in the best way they possibly can, so that you can do better and hit your goals, because you're not leveraging the full power of the partners you're working with.
Yeah, and it certainly sets the agency up to serve you better and help you maximize your investment. But the reality is the difference between a fully engaged partner, a client for an agency, related to how they generate leads and grow revenue, is substantial. The difference between someone who's fully engaged and the results they get is very different than someone who's just limping along and is just kind of in the relationship. And it sounds super obvious, but for those who, again, really want to win, that's the level of intensity and the level of engagement they bring to the marketing engagement. And guess what? They get those kinds of returns on their time, their energy, their expertise, and their investment. And,
Yep.
and the difference between the two is substantial.
Yeah, I mean, just to stick with our athlete analogy, like, I'm sure LeBron James, whatever they call it, physical therapist, I don't know, the guy that like stretches
Trainers.
him and works him out, trainers, like, if LeBron was blowing off sessions and not giving it his best, they gotta fire him. He'd be like, look, that's fine, but Kevin Durant called me. He wants to work with me. Like, I'm going to go work with Kevin. Like, he's serious. You're not, right?
Yeah.
Like, that happens I imagine, I don't know for sure, but I imagine that happens all the time, is these guys get clients who are not 100% into it. And the best trainers are like, you know what, like, I'll recommend some other guys for you. You're not serious enough for me. I only work with the top echelon athletes. My goal is to make you the number one in your sport. You're not committed like you ought to be. It's okay. No harm, no foul. I'll still be your pal. We can have beers together, but I only work with people who are, want to be at this level. I wish we could say that to our clients sometimes, because I think it would shock them a little bit, but, not getting them to call us back, not giving us the things we need to help them move their program forward, not approving plans, for a week. Like, I can only imagine the conversation, the trainer and LeBron would have if that was the case.
Yeah.
That's the difference, right? Like, the best trainers want to work with the best athletes. The best agencies want to work with the best companies. And, we are actively looking for businesses that want to win the Super Bowl. They're going to be a perfect fit for what we do and how we do it. So,
and I think it's worth saying to someone who's looking for a marketing agency that you should expect the same thing from the marketing agency that the agency would expect from you. Like, those are the most dynamic and rewarding relationships. So if you're listening to this podcast and you're a company looking for a partner to help you grow your revenue and, to dial in your marketing, you should find an agency that brings the same level of intensity and commitment to your brand that you're bringing to your brand. And when those two things happen, that's what's magical. Like, you talk about trainers. Tim Grover was Michael Jordan's trainer. And what you had happen after a handful of years in the league, he was really scrawny. They were making it to the playoffs, but couldn't beat the Lakers and the Pistons, and whatever, in Boston. And so he hires Tim Grover, puts on all this weight, and guess what happens? He starts winning. You take Tom Brady and his trainer, Alex Guerrero, but between the two of them and their intensity and their commitment to winning, they won. It's the same thing between a company and an agency. When you match two people who want to win and each of them do their role, that is the most rewarding work.
Yeah, 100%. Just filling in the words for you. So yeah, 100%. That match is really important. So when you're looking for that, those are some questions you might want to ask your agency. So let's talk a little bit about how analytics help athletes track progress, and the same way analytics can help you track progress inside your business from a revenue perspective. So, if you have any bump in with sports today, it's all analytics, right? Baseball knows every hitter, where they hit the ball, where to place their players, you know, what kind of pitchers are going to have success against them. Every sport has dive deep into analytics. And again, there's a lot of parallels to what we do. When I ran marketing for the software company prior to starting Square 2, so you're talking 21 years ago, like there's no analytics. No one ever came to me and said, how many leads do we get? They were like, how'd the trade show go? Were those ads in the magazine? You know, when's the next press release going out? Like it was all about activity. There was no measure of success. You know who got measured by success was the salespeople. Did you hit your number or not? And there were no leading analytics up to that. They just knew one number. They either hit their revenue number for the month, or they hit their sales quota for the month, or they didn't, right? Today, it's all analytics, just like sports. You know, there are thousands of metrics related to revenue that we track in one form or another, depending on who the client is and depending on what the program looks like. And those metrics inform our decisions on how to optimize the program. Just like those analytics inform game strategy and how these guys work out. You know, if they're tracking their speed in the 40, they are trying to get better because of their training and their diet and their exercise. Like they are trying to improve their speed in the 40 so that they can beat the defensive back and score a touchdown or get to first base before the throw goes there. Like it is all about analytics and performance to do better in the game and win more. And it's the same with revenue today. Everything is trackable. If you have the right analytic platform, you have the right marketing, sales, and customer service toolkit, everything is trackable. There are no more, well, I think this, or my opinion that, or in my old company, we did this. It's 100% data-based, and it ought to be data-driven. Now, what's interesting here is lots of times the data itself is not as helpful as people think it's going to be. And what I mean by that is lots of times the data provides insight. And at Square 2, we talk about this a lot. I am personally less interested in the data and much more interested in the insight the data tells me, right? So I can see that my 40-yard dash time is not as fast as it needs to be, but I need to find out why. Am I getting out of the blocks too slowly? Okay, that's an insight. How do I get started faster? Am I not maintaining my pace the whole 40 yards? That's an insight that I need to work on. How do I maintain my pace and not slow down in the middle? Maybe I'm slowing down at the end and not pushing through the tape. Like those are the insights that data can show you that you pull out of the data and then use to inform your action plan or your optimization plan or your campaign design or what you're going to do different the second time around. And there's a lot associated that with marketing, right? Knowing that my visitors are down is a data point, but why are they down? Oh, we're not ranking for as many keywords. Okay, good to know. That's an insight. Let's start working on ranking for more keywords. We're not getting as much organic social traffic as we used to. Okay, good. That's an insight. Why? Well, we're not posting as much. Okay, good to know. Maybe we are posting as much, but we're not posting the same things we used to post. Good to know. Like those are the insights that I find it very challenging to uncover in the data. There's an overwhelming amount of data. You need to find somebody to pull those insights out. And unfortunately, a lot of those insights are only uncoverable with lots of experiences. So I have the benefit of looking at hundreds of client programs, and that makes it easier for me to uncover the insights. You know, the team that works at Square 2 has worked with client after client after client in different industries and different situations. That gives them the power to uncover the insights. Sometimes when you're looking at one company all the time over a period, it's more difficult to uncover the insights because you have less context. It's not about what you're doing or how you're doing it. It's just that the more experiences you have, the easier it tends to be for that. Just like, you know, the athlete's trainer has worked 10 high-level professional athletes. They know how to adjust Tom Brady's program. If they only had one experience with one other athlete, they're not going to know as much as if they've had 10 experiences with 10 high-level athletes. So, you know, when you're looking at analytics, narrow it down, create a simple scorecard, but dig into the analytics to find the insights, and then use those insights to inform what you're going to do next. You want to add anything to that, Kate?
Nope, you nailed it. I think that's really well said.
Okay, good. So let's wrap this up. It's our last show. We're going to take a little break. I'm interested in your commentary around how you might advise a company that wants to win the Super Bowl, but is still suffering from some of those conditions we talked about at the beginning of the show. How do they get over the hump? How do they put some of that head trash behind them and really lean into this and get some really monster results for their business?
Yeah, I think it goes back to vision and really being honest with themselves around what are the consequences of not making this sacrifice and working to our vision? What are the consequences? If we don't take this serious, if we're not willing to make the sacrifice, if we're not willing to put in the work to win the Super Bowl, what are the long-term consequences to not committing to that now? We've talked throughout this podcast about how consistency is important over a long period of time. And so for those who are starting to think, man, I really do want to win, then they got to understand and they got to look at, okay, what is holding them back and preventing them from stepping up to the line and making the sacrifice over a long period of time to truly accomplish what they said that their vision really is. And I think uncovering the root of those and then addressing those head on is a really good place to start. But you can't give it lip service. You can't just say, boy, I really.
Yeah, you cannot just say it. You have to really live it. I think that's really good advice. You know, the other thing is you have to be able to trust your advisors. You know, if you've never done this before, you got to trust the people you're working with, right? I'm pretty sure Tom Brady doesn't say to his nutritionist, you know, like, no, you know what? No, I'm not doing that. I'm pretty sure LeBron James is not telling his personal trainer, you know what, buddy, I'm not doing this extra set of pull-ups. I'm going to go, like, I got to go somewhere, right? Like, these guys trust their advisors, they trust their trainers, they trust their agents, they trust the people that they brought in to help them achieve their shared vision. And I think that's big for us also. You know, you don't question your accountant generally, you don't question your attorney. You know, try not to question your marketing and sales advisors. Also, we are trying to help you get to your goals. And like I said earlier, we want you to be successful as much as you want to be successful. You might not think that, but that is the truth. That is the truth. Your success is our success. I just had a client tell us they wanted to pause for a couple months because we got them too many leads. They literally cannot respond to the amount of leads we're getting them. Look, I don't want to have a client pause, but the fact that they are inundated from the work we've done for them, that made me really happy, made the team really happy. You know, they're looking at something like 600% year-over-year growth, you know, and that is what we want to do for all of our clients. So if that means we got to take a couple months off to let them catch up, I am perfectly happy to do that. So you got to really trust the people you're bringing in to help you. They know what they're doing. And I think you'll be in a much better spot going forward. Anything you want to add?
No, this is a fun topic. I love winning.
Yeah, this was a good last show. We don't kind of talk about these types of things very frequently, but maybe we should do more of this. But yeah, it was good. I think hopefully the audience will be able to relate to some of the things we talked about. So I'll remind everybody, this is the last show. We're going to take a little 2-month break. We'll be back in the fall. We'll let everybody know well in advance what we're doing from a schedule perspective and those kinds of things. But if you like the show, go check it out on YouTube. All the What's Wrong with Revenue shows from season 1 and season 2 are posted to Square 2 Marketing's YouTube channel. You can like us, you can subscribe, and you can leave us comments. You can also check out the show on Square 2 Plus, our free streaming service. It's on our website, square2marketing.com/Square2PLUS. And you can subscribe to Square 2 Plus. When we do post new content, we'll let you know via email. And if you like the show, go over to the podcast page, What's Wrong with Revenue. You can subscribe to the show. When we come back in a couple months, you'll be the first to know. Send you an email with what's going to be happening in the fall. And you can also post questions there, and we will answer all your questions. And last but not least, if you're into audio content, check us out on all your favorite podcast platforms, Apple, Stitcher, iTunes, Podbean. We're on all of them. Just search What's Wrong with Revenue. Thanks everybody for good first half of season 2. You know, I enjoy doing it, and I'm sure we'll be back after a couple months in one form or another. Kate, thanks for being my guest for the past couple episodes. Appreciate you stepping in. And everybody have a really good summer, and we'll see you all in the fall.